get started. Hello, and welcome to Greet the Week. I'm Mona Duncan, and today we're going to be talking about what is wisdom. So let me bring this up and we will share on some thoughts on what is wisdom. So, here we go. Now, here we go. What is wisdom? Just the word itself, means to be what? To be wise. So I was just kind of thinking about that and to understand, to use some good sense as opposed to just, jumping in without thinking about it, to kind of perceive things, to have some insight into. Hopefully, that sounds like wisdom to me. And I have some quotes here from some uh, well known people the world over. Albert Einstein. And he said that wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it, to acquire schooling, to acquire knowing things that you didn't know before. He says, any fool can know. The point is to understand. And with the full moon eclipse that's scheduled to come up in April, there was in the article in Sunday's paper was just this whole 2 or 3 pages with Albert Einstein and the things that he learned from the eclipse that he was able to go through. And so much he learned about the ins and outs of how planets work and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, we're not going to be talking about planets more today. So then here is a quote from William Shakespeare that he put in his play As You Like It. The fool doth think he is wise, but the wise man knows himself to be a fool, or to be not as wise as he may think he is. And then Socrates said, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. And that can be a lot of truth to that. Sometimes we can think we know something, but we do not really. And then Confucius says, by 3 methods we may learn wisdom. The first, by reflection, which is noblest. Second, by imitation, which is easiest. And third, by experience, which is bitterest. And I think personally, I like to go with the reflection to just really think about. And we're going to talk about some more. Matter of fact, we'll talk about the wisdom of Dr. William Glasser. But before that, I want to share this poem with you that was written by R.L. Sharpe or Sharpe, and it's called A Bag of Tools. And I just love this. It says, isn't it strange that princes and kings and clowns that caper in sawdust rings and common folk like you and me are builders for eternity. Each is given a bag of tools, a shapeless mass, and a book of rules. And each must make, ere life is flown, a stumbling block or a stepping stone. And I just really like that because this bag of tools and the shapeless mass and this book of rules, all of these things are not palatable. They're not right here where you can hold them in your hand and actually see them. It's the oddities of life and the way we reflect things and the way we perceive things that can help to make us either the wise person or the not so wise. That we would create a stumbling block or we can become a stepping stone. So we're going to talk about the stepping stone of Dr. William Glasser and how that Dr. Glasser used his body, his mind, and all the behaviors to come together with the mechanics of a car. And this quote that I pretty powerful. He says, I have no ability to change how I feel, separate from what I do or think, that I have almost complete ability to change what I do, and some ability to change what I think, regardless of how I am choosing to feel. So, in looking at that, I began to really break it down. And here is a rendition of the mechanical car and how that the thoughts and the thinking lead and the physiology and the feelings follow. But we always want to go with the leading, and we want to feel good about the actions and the thoughts that we think. But here I wanted to break this down into little. So he says, I have no ability to change what? He cannot change how I feel. Really? I thought we had more control over ourselves. He says, separate from. Oh, okay. There's another element here. I have no ability to change how I feel. Separate from. Separate from what? Separate from what I do or think. So it's the action and the thinking that is in there, that is working together, maybe in ways we can't even see, that is producing a lot of those feelings. I have no ability to change how I feel except for or separate from what I do and what I think. But what? But I have almost complete ability to what? To change what I do, and some ability to change what I think, regardless of what? Regardless of what I am choosing to feel. Now that really breaks it down to where we can see that we do have control over our feelings, but only as we begin to look at the fact that I want to think and act more maturely, more genuinely, more, and we can do that. So here's the car itself, but I put the circlers here. The thinking and the acting is our doing. It's what's leading us. Whereas the physiology and the feelings, the emotions, it is what follows. And what we want to do is learn to train ourselves, and we can make choices. We have an unlimited amount of choices that we can choose. But let's go with the ones that's helping to train our mind and to train our actions into being more mature. And so the front wheels lead, and they're the thinking and the acting. If you don't remember the front wheels, well, the front wheels are called thinking and acting, and they are the activities. They are the doing part. Thought out actions produce good energy. You see, these feelings and these physiology, the things that follow, have a tendency to produce feelings, yes. But are they positive or negative? Are they good or are they not so good? And as we think through the actions we want to take, it produces a good energy that keeps us going forward. Whereas if we just look back here on the feelings and kind of let go of the thinking and the acting and begin to look more at the feelings, we can sometimes get the back wheels follow. But sometimes in the process of following, they slow everything down. It becomes a disregard rather than a regard. And supposed feelings drag energy. Now, up here, I thought about that a thought out action produces good energy. And because the car, all four wheels work at the same time, and because, as we have those thoughts and actions producing good energy, then the feelings are coming along in tandem. Whereas the back wheels follow, and when those back wheels, those feelings begin to supposedly, have all these different things, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, it has a tendency to drag the energy that is available. So we need to be tough on our behavior, but in being tough on our behavior, be gentle on you, be kind to you, and hold yourself in the state of regard and growth. And then always realize that, we may not be there yet. We may not quite understand yet. We may think we know, but we don't know until that, at least to begin to get a little closer. So here are just some thoughts randomly on thinking. Thoughts indiscriminately manifest, meaning that the more we think about something, the more we go toward building it, making it, doing it, being it. And so thoughts indiscriminately manifest. Thoughts become things. Thoughts are rarely neutral until we learn to train them. So, let's really think about this so that it's more in a balance than rather than just going off the grid. Thoughts attack. Quite frequently they do. Who do you think you are? Or the thoughts give the thought to even to attack someone else. Thoughts contribute to weakening. Kind of goes back to the fact that thoughts defend. It's a yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. Thoughts correct. They have a validity factor to them. And then thoughts are plentiful. I mean, they're just thoughts always coming in, always going on, as well as choices are. And thoughts can be changed in an instant, and it can last for a lifetime. And as all of these things, these are just some thought about and some declarations, and they can go either direction, to the positive or to the negative. But thoughts can be changed in an instant. It's a new idea. And it can be one that lasts a lifetime either. So how do we, confirm that there's any validity to these thoughts? Well, it goes back to some wise sayings by others. A proverb that says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And I like that because it includes the thinking and the feeling. But as we think in our heart, so we are, or so we become. That whatever it is we're thinking about, we have a tendency, thoughts do manifest. Thinking does produce thoughts. Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. So that gives a confirmation. If I'm thinking, then I am someone. And as if I'm feeling, then also I am someone. And then O. Henry Ford and his wisdom. If you think you can, or if you think you can't, you're right. So it all goes back to our thinking. If you think you can, and you have that well thought out energy to give you the energy to actually go forward and to do it, you're right. But if you think, oh no, I can't do that, and it lowers that energy because you're going with those feelings, well, it has to go back to the thinking. If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're right. So think about it. And here's some random thoughts on feelings. Feelings are not in and of themselves, are not necessarily good or bad. They just are. You can be insulted, you can be wounded, you can be, these feelings, you can be happy, you can be sad, and in and of themselves, they're not necessarily bad. They just are, but we need to be aware of the fact of how we're handling them, because that information has come to us that has been in the physiology part of us, put those feelings together. They may not be what we really want to build and hold on to. The feelings may or may not be legitimate. We may be correct in that someone was, anyway, the feelings, they may or may not be legitimate. And how you act on your feelings are paramount. I mean, it's important that whether or not we, make a big mess of it, or whether we or learn how to be more in control of, more in charge of. You can't control anyone else, but you can control you. And it may take a little bit of learning to do that. And then feelings, what do they equal? But those feelings equal some kind of a sensation. And back to that back wheel of the physiology, those feelings, those sensations, those upset stomachs, those happinesses, those whatever, they contribute to health or they're detrimental to health. They contribute to the kind of energy you have, or they contribute to the negative kind of energy that you have. Feelings and emotions, the activation, the reaction, the impressions, the responses. And then an opinion, which is part of the feelings, whether it's something you view, if it's something you believe, whether it's something that's sentimental. It's looking at all of those various things. And then recovery, learning how to train ourselves with seeking the center, seeking middle, so that the four wheels can work in tandem together rather than fighting against each other of the feelings. So we want to seek help first and foremost, and realizing that help is almost always available. There's someone out there that's willing to give you some insights or some way that you can receive help, or just thinking about it yourself and how that things will emerge. Looking at moderation in all things. It's beginning to rein in the overs, the overeating, the oversleeping, the over addictions, the overs, those overs that kind of keep us down on that low energy. Then getting honest and staying honest with ourselves, being there for you. Develop more choices. Give up all that all or nothing thinking, like, yes, I can, no, I cannot. And then becoming less rigid and more flexible. Well, what about you? Do you think you can do it? Do you think you can pay attention to you and your thinking and your doing and your overall being? Well, I think you can. And I thank you for tuning in. And we will stop the recording, and those that are present will have some dialogue with each other. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.